All right, beautiful people. Today we're talking about geometric figures. So our essential question is, how do I identify and label geometric figures? So I've started by making myself a little table. So take a second, make yourself a table. The titles of the table are the figure. So what's the name of the figure? A drawing of the figure, the definition of the figure, and a label. Like, how would you label it if you were given those things? Okay, so we're going to start with a point. A point is a figure. Okay, this is one piece of geometric figures. Here's a drawing of a point. It's literally just a dot, and most of the time they have a little label on them, like A. Okay. The definition of a point is it has no dimensions. Okay, so it has neither depth nor width, and it's basically just identified by a dot. A dot. Okay. In order to label a point, you usually label it with capital letters. Capital letters. Okay. And yes, we most of the time use letters. So for the point that I've drawn, it's called point A. Okay, this is its label, point A. So PT stands for point. You can also write out the whole word point if you want to. So that is what a point is. So let's go on to the next thing. We're going to talk about now lines. We'll talk about, lines. Line. Okay. A line looks like this. It's basically just a left to right line. I don't have a straight edge, so I'm sorry my line is kind of curvy. If you have a straight edge, please use one. It'll make your drawing look nicer. Okay. On a line, you have infinitely many points, but you should have at least 2 points on your line. We'll call them B and C. Okay. Again, labeled with capital letters. The definition of a line it has one dimension, and it is usually labeled with arrows on either side. Arrows on either side. Okay. And then last but not least, how do we label a line? So in order to label a line, you would write line. Oh, you'd write it with the points. You'd write line BC or BC with an arrow with a line on top of it. Okay. So those are two different ways to write line BC. You will see this way to label it much more often. This is very common. Okay, so you label a line with 2 points. With 2 points. And then you draw the line on top of it. Okay. All right. Now, there are subcategories to lines. So I'm going to talk about the subcategories. Subcategory 1 is a segment. Well, that color's not much different. Okay, a segment. And a segment is basically just a little line like you normally draw with endpoints. So we'll call the endpoints D and E. Okay. A segment is defined as one-dimensional, and it has endpoints. It does not have arrows. So notice the line has arrows, but a segment does not, which means it is finite. Okay, finite means that you can measure it. It means it stops at some point. So to label it, you label it with 2 points again. And it would be labeled segment. And you label it with the end points, DE. Okay, you have to label it with the end point. So if there's a point somewhere in the middle, you don't use that for your segment. Okay, so segment DE. It can also be labeled DE with a line over the top, but without the arrows. So notice again, the one for lines has arrows on it, and the one for a segment does not. And again, this is the common label. Most of the time, you'll see it with the line over the top without the arrows on it. Okay? All right, so we're going to go on to the next one in the next video.